impact for all the sugar companies as well as companies like Praj. So let's talk about that and more with the top management. Thank you so much for joining us here on ET Now. We've seen the advancement also of the rollout when it comes to blending ethanol and the target that has been provided to oil companies. Mr. Joshipura, break it down for all of our viewers at ET Now. We've been hearing about this move. Can you explain to us how it's going to impact a company like yours?
Good morning. At the back of understanding that driving sustainability, combating the climate change problem, becoming more self-reliant on energy, I think government has put in a very progressive program to increase the share of biofuels in the overall energy economy. And the EBP 20 program that you are referring to is part of that program. So a couple of years ago, we used to be in the range of 4-5% for blending of ethanol into the petrol. And even there, not all the petrol that was sold in the country was blended, because at that time, primarily the ethanol production was limited to 3 states. There were some isolated plants in some other states, but 3 states accounted for the majority of the production. In a very ambitious program, the government says that we need to reach EBP 20. And they have launched a very sustained effort in that direction. We have seen freeing up of the feedstocks, not limited to sugary feedstock, but also bringing in starchy and the cellulosic feedstocks. Several other policies around supporting the pricing mechanism, the financing mechanism for setting up the capacities. The whole rainbow, if I can use that word, the entire platform has been created, a lot of enabling policies. So as users, we were getting 4 to 5% petrol blended in some states. The idea is to go to an E10 level to start with, which is 10% blending across India. Now it is pan-India, not limited to a few states. And then scale it up to EBP 20. On what the government has said is that from 23 April, the companies will be allowed to blend up to 20%. What it means is not that we'll become 20% on day one, but from that day onwards, a 20% mixture would be permitted. Now, in terms of the automobile fleet, it will obviously mean some changes for the new vehicles as they come in to take advantage and make the necessary changes in the engine and the combustion system, so that we can take advantage of the good qualities that ethanol offers in terms of a high octane number, its oxidation properties, low particulate emission. So if we have to get the full advantage of this program, the engines will have to become flexi fuels, and that is what is being contemplated now. So we are moving to an era where pan-country, we will be able to see a uniform mixture of petrol because now the production capacity is being created across the country. We will be able to see creation of lots of grain, starch-based, if I can use that word, grain coming up, and almost we expect that when the 20 levels are reached, we should be in a position to see almost a 60% production coming out of the starchy feedstocks and 40 from sugary feedstocks.
Okay, and we've of course seen the stock price reflect the move towards this as India prepares for more ethanol blended fuel. But Mr. Joshipura, the other big question is right now, clean fuel, going green, decarbonization is the big theme globally. Investors are saying a lot of that decision making will be determined by companies which are more green, more ESG compliant, more focused on decarbonization. Can I ask you, at Praj, what is the larger game plan and how are you planning to take advantage of this?
Decarbonization, net zero, these initiatives are coming in many forms. But fundamentally, what we are saying is we need to move to a lower carbon intensity lifestyle for all of us. Now, there are many solutions that are possible. Biofuels have a very definitive role to play because they are, by definition, as science gives, very low carbon intensity solutions as compared to the crude oil-based energy that we use today. So very clearly, shifting from crude oil-based energy to bio-based energy is a clear positive shift in the direction of low carbon intensity operations that we need to combat the problem of climate change. It's almost like a vaccine for the climate change, right? So very clear and definitive program. Now that means, and this is not happening in India. Of course, India is very aggressive, but we are seeing this movement in several parts of the world where governments are, different programs are being rolled out to encourage the use of biofuels. And of course, that would lead to creation of capacity for production of biofuels. The good news on biofuels is that not all countries are endowed with, by nature, with crude oil reserves, right? But many countries are given sun, many countries have land, many of them have agriculture. And now this uses all of these naturally given resources to actually use what's traditionally considered as a waste to wealth. And I think that will be transformative for the, not only from the CO2 or decarbonization perspective, which is definitely a very, very big plus, but it will also generate local employment. It will also combat local pollution. It will also create wealth within the country. And for many countries which are energy importing, it will also mean forex savings. So it's a very, what I would call as a very large and well-encompassing program across the world, not necessarily limited to India, but India, of course, is one of the most ambitious programs that are running in the world today. Just to give you some idea, so if we had to meet EBP 20 program targets when it started last year, we have to create a capacity of over 1,000 crore liters of ethanol production in the country. Now, compare that to something like 300 odd crore liters that the OMCs bought in the preceding year. So from 300 crore, we have to add 1,000 crores. So that's the kind of shift that has to take place. And that is obviously creating a very, very big opportunity for technology companies like us, who are anyway, we have been a market leader in India, for that matter in the globe. I'm very happy to share with you that today 10% of the global ethanol production, nearly 10% of the global ethanol production happens using Praj technology. So we are very, very excited about the future of biofuels. Of course, ethanol is just one dimension in the sense that it addresses the road transportation. There are two other very, very significant forms of transportation in air transportation and the maritime transportation. And for both also, biofuels have a very, very large role to play as we go forward. We will see development of these sectors as well. Already a lot of positive developments in that area. So ethanol, diesel, gas, the biogas, aviation fuel, maritime, we will see a whole gambit of biofuels space opening up as a sustainable alternative to what we do today. And the most important thing that I personally believe is all these fuels are not calling for a lifestyle change. There is no lifestyle change involved for anybody. You continue to live in the same way. It's just that we live more responsibly.